Okay, so I've just set up a light kind of to the top right. You could put the ball next to the window, on a table, or anything. Or you could actually just use this as a reference. I'll take a picture and post it also. Um, but yeah, just kind of a ball lit from the kind of the side and from the top. So I'm going to use a 6B just because that's what I like to draw with. You might like to draw with different things. So I'm going to start out by drawing a circle, basically. I'm going to hold my pencil like this, and I'm just going to simply draw a circle. And I'm going to make the circle as many times as I need to make it in order to get a circular circle. I need to circle out an area. Okay, so basically from here, I can choose a perfect circle, right? I can kind of pick out of here the right lines to make a circle. None of these circles are perfect, but I can choose from all these lines a decent circle. So I now have a decent circle. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get the shadow in here. So the shadow of this guy is going out this way. Kind of cuts in. Kind of an elongated oval. And there's like this bigger, wider, brighter shadow out here. It's kind of bizarre, but it's there. Okay. 5 blocks. And so you should actually start with this. And basically, if I want to go from lighter to darker, I have 5 values here. And I'm going to use these 5 values in my drawing. So the first value is basically white, right? So the white is the white of the paper. I don't have to do anything for that. So I just need to add a layer of shadow. Down this whole thing. So that is all the same value, right? And so I want to go darker on the next box. So what I'm going to do is just add another layer. So I'm not pushing any harder, I'm not doing anything different, I'm just adding a second layer, and by adding a second layer, it gets darker. And I should be doing this smoother, I should be doing a better job at this, I should take my time at this, but basically, I'm just trying to get it done so that you guys can see it. Like that a little bit better so you can see it a little bit better. So this is one layer of shadow, this is white, my first value, my second value, and I just keep adding layers to add darker values. Okay, so I've added different layers to add different values. I'm going to add another layer. And then finally the last layer. Now, these are very gradual and very subtle. I could probably do another layer in here. This could be like my darkest shadow, for instance. So I'm going to use these values then to apply to my ball. And I'm going to do it the exact same way where I built up shadows from lightest to darkest. So first thing is the ball is white. So the only place on the ball that's going to be bright white is going to be the highlight that hits it. And the highlight is actually kind of in here. Right? So the highlight is in there. So aside from that highlight, basically everything else is going to have at least one layer of shadow. That includes the shadows out here. It includes everything, basically. So if I just shade everything with one light layer of shadow, slowly build it up, slowly work it up. I should be going slower than this. I should be taking my time. I should be making it look smoother and nicer than this. This is just a quick demo. So this is also going to include this shadow out here. Both the light part of the shadow that I could see and the dark part of the shadow. Okay, that's one layer of shadow on everything. I basically did everything but this highlight area, right? So next I want to look at where is this shadow? Basically I'm going to get a ring from here of highlight area, right? And I'm going to get another ring in here. So it comes around the ball a little bit. The shadow on the backside of this ball. And I can always look over here and match my shadows, my values, to make sure my shadows are matching the values on my key. So it's a little bit darker in here as well. I'd say some of this is in the same range. Like that. So the second shadow kind of tapers out and putters out. Okay, that's only 2 layers of shadow, so basically I need another layer kind of in this area. probably need to sharpen my pencil, but I'm not going to stop. I made a really hard line there, that looks terrible. It's from pushing too hard instead of just building up things slowly and, you know, moving around, varying where I put down my marks. Creates a line, which I don't want. So we're about here. So I'm going to go for this last little bit here. And I'm not going all the way to the edge of the ball. The reason is because of reflection. The very edge of the ball should be one shade lighter than the darkest shade on it. So it's like a highlight inside of the shadow, if that makes any sense. So now I've basically put all my shadows in there. Now I'm going to darken my lines a little bit, especially in the shaded areas where it's darkest. I'd like to add just like a little bit of dark in there, my lines. So that's basically it. So I just built it up layer by layer by layer. Built it up layer by layer by layer, just like I did this, starting with leaving it one square white, and I built it up layer by layer until I got the darkest here. And I kind of just matched these points to these corresponding, I just built it up the same way, paying attention to where I was in the scale, working my way from the brightest area to the darkest area. Keep in mind an object is darkest actually where it meets the ground generally with a shadow. And because of reflection, there's actually usually like a highlight in your shadow. So basically your shadow gets darker, 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 but on your last one, basically don't go all the way to the edge, so that this is about the same value as the preceding value. And usually your highlight doesn't start on the edge either. Usually it's in. Sometimes it's closer to over here, but this was pretty front lit, so it was like hitting it straight on. Usually if it's side lit, you'll get your brightest highlight here and just a little bit of shadow along the edge.